Hi guys, welcome back. In today's video, we will be discussing the Q3FY25 result of the jewelry category or the jewelry space. Okay. Now, when you discuss about the jewelry space, it can be broadly divided into four categories. Okay. The first category is a B2C category where we have companies like Titan, Senco, Kalyan, and PN Gadgil Jewelers, DP Abhushan. Then we have B2B category where we have players like Utsav, Sky Gold. Then we have even Ashapuri gold ornaments. Then we have the third category where it is a division of both B2C plus B2B, right? Where you have players like Khazanchi and RBC. Then we have the last category, which is a recent addition where the company neither does manufacturing nor it retails in terms of jewelry. They are more or less involved, in providing certificates to prove that either a retailer or a manufacturer are, selling authentic stones and gold jewelry or diamond jewelry. The new addition in this category is IGI, okay? And this company, I think it debuted its IPO recently, like a couple of months ago, I believe. So this is the new category and the new company that is over here. Now in this, we've already covered Sky Gold, we've already covered RBC, and in today's video, we will be covering the first four companies that are there, which is Titan, Senco, Kalyan, and PN Gadgil. We'll cover DP Abhushan in another video because I believe most of the times the position in the race, who's coming first, who's coming second, is usually churned between these first four companies. Okay, now before we dive into into the depth of going into each and every company in detail, let us understand as of Q3 when we are looking right now, how has the entire landscape been with the jewelry industry. Because one thing we know with the entire jewelry industry is that the tailwind that is associated with this space has been immense, right? And there were a lot of reasons for tailwind, as you know, the 918 hallmark, inclusion of Aadhaar and PAN card, for about 2L of purchase, and that gave a lot of push to the organized space compared to the unorganized space. And the recent, in the starting of the year, we had the government cut down the import tax on gold from like 12 to 6%, right? That also gave a huge rise for the demand, and as a result we saw most of them, usually the purchases that happen in Q3, we saw most of the purchases happen even in Q2, right? And Q2, which was a lean quarter, it was a very strong quarter as a result for them, right? And because of this, there was inventory losses also for many retail companies. So this was a situation until Q2. Now what has happened in Q3? As you know, in Q3 it is a very strong season for wedding, festivities, and all of that. Now again, when you talk about a jewelry category, especially from a consumer point of view, you see that the entire jewelry space can be divided into two categories. Okay, one is a bridal wear again, and the other one is आपका ये day to day wear that is there. Bridal wear constitutes like bridal wedding wear, आप जो भी बोल सकते हो, that constitutes around 60% of the majority share in the entire jewelry space. Okay, because most purchases happen during that time. Okay, now think about it, right? Let's say if the gold one in Q3 compared to Q2, when you see Q3, the price of gold has again gone up. Okay, like massive increase in gold price we have seen. Now usually the दिमाग क्या होता है, अरे gold का prices ज़्यादा हो गया, तो consumer might postpone buying your gold, right? That is the usual psyche that we think, but it has been quite the opposite. Why is that so? Because think about it, right? Your marriage or your wedding, sorry, not marriage, your wedding is in 2 weeks or probably in the next 2 months, right? It is a auspicious thing, it is a once in a lifetime event. You're not going to postpone the purchase ki, that's something you won't do irrespective of whatever the gold prices. That event is coming up, you will purchase. And since Q3 is a very strong month for all the weddings and festivities, as a result, in spite of the increase in gold price, we didn't see a cutback in terms of demand. That is number one. The second thing is the day-to-day wear purchases that we have, right? I mean, the daily jewelry that we wear, right? Like this. Even in this, we have not seen a cutback in demand. The management का कहना ये है कि especially this is the same tone across all the companies is, see, over the last 2 years, the consumers have seen so much volatility in gold prices. Now they're used to it. Like they know, like last time they were waiting when the gold prices was at 6,000, they were waiting for it to come down, but it never came. It went up to 7,000. When it was at 7,000, they were waiting for it to come to 6,400. It never happened. Now it is at 8,800 per gram. So it's come to like consumers का mindset में ये आ गया कि forget it, gold prices are always going to go up. It is an appreciating asset, and especially for an Indian consumer, when you think of gold, you don't think mainly of design, you don't think mainly of wearing it, but you also think of from an investment point of view. So people have again, even in the daily wear category also, there is no cutback in terms of demand. So in terms of demand, in spite of increase in gold prices, the demand has been quite strong. Okay, and especially, right, like we've seen in the month, all this con call happened in the month of Jan, right? And even going forward in the month of Jan also, the demand has sustained and there has been no cutback over here. Okay, so where does the problem arise? Okay, so demand is good, everything is great. So where is the problem arising right now for the jewelry category? The problem is arising in the studded ratio. Okay, now as you know, when you talk about jewelry, there are two types over here, right? One is you sell the plain gold jewelry, the other one is just studded. Okay, जिसमें आपका वो stone सब रहता है, ठीक है? Now in the studded category, it's better, like, you know, we rejoice as investors when the studded portion of your studded portion in terms of your sale increases, right? It is a positive news for investors, it is a positive news for a company. Why? Because in the studded category your margins are higher compared to your plain gold jewelry. Okay, you can also align this with your own personal experience, like why it is positive for a company when the studded profile increases to their sales. Imagine this, imagine if you're going, you know, if you all are like purchasing with your wife, or you know, your mom, especially if you're going and purchasing with a woman, right? You will always observe the preferences towards your plain gold jewelry. Why is that the case? Because when you're reselling the plain gold jewelry, you're going to get a complete value of it. But if you're selling, you know, if that has that studded thing, right, if it has like one or two stones, that stone ka value aapko nahi milega. So it is ultimately not a great value. And especially like I told you, in India, like in American market, you think gold is purchased in terms of design, based on the design price hota hai. In India, since it is an investment thing, right, हमारा जो price है, like when you go to buy gold, you are, you know, कितना ग्राम होता है उसमें, based on that, you know, आपका वो जो price रहता है, ठीक है? So this is the thing. Now studded में क्या हुआ है? See, studded में usually the stone that goes is diamond most of the times. Now over here we've seen an introduction of lab grown diamonds, right? Over the years we've seen lab grown, you know, all the hype is about it, right? And in lab grown diamond, what has happened is, you know, this 1 carat and 2 carat, think about it again. I'm not going to go in depth over here, let's talk about it logically. Okay, imagine you have to get an engagement ring. Okay, आपका 1 carat 2 carat का diamond का ring होता है, एक solitaire, right, with the 18 carat का, you know, band that is there. It will cost you, go to carat it will cost you 3 to 3.5 L. Okay, that is the usual price, that is the usual price for a diamond ring. Now think about it, for an average Indian, that 3 to 3.5 L for an engagement ring, that is very expensive. Whereas the same gold ka ring, you'll probably get it in like what, 50-60,000. And another psyche that comes up is like, you know, अरे मैं एक ring के लिए 3 to 3.5 L I have to spend, versus for the same 3 to 3.5 L, if I go to Kalyan or Joss Alucas, I'm going to get like a huge, you know, like that temple kind of jewelry I'll get, जिसका volume भी ज़्यादा है compared to, you know, this plain as just one ring. Okay, so this investment psyche plays up, and you know, because of these reasons, diamond was that one category, you know, where especially the starting range of diamond also, people were very hesitant to, you know, like to go and buy. ठीक है? Now what happened? Lab grown diamond came. Now lab grown diamond के वजह से क्या हुआ? This 1 carat 2 carat where you're probably spending 3 to 3.5 L, right, you are able to get that right now for what, like 40,000, 50,000, sometimes even like at 60-80, you know, that has been there. Where is 3.5 L, where is your 60 to 1 lakh, right? So this lab grown diamond became very 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 affordable as a result, right? And as a result क्या हुआ? People started preferring the lab grown diamond over your natural diamond, especially in this 1 carat 2 carat in that range, because the price point even for that 1 carat 2 carat is very high. Okay, now over here, now this is the, you know, this lab grown diamond jo hai, it has only impacted the bottom layer of the category. Think about it, why can't it impact, you know, the category where it is like 5 carat 10 carat? Why is it not possible? Again, see, 5 carat 10 carat, if you're spending, it is probably like 20-25 L. Do you really think if a person has that money to buy 20 to 25 L, I'm pretty sure his net worth is also going to be big, do you really think he's going to worry about discount and he's going to be, you know, like, I mean, who would want a cheaper category, who would want a cheaper alternative? Those people who wouldn't be able to afford it, right? That is the one. So unka to, like, they wouldn't even bother going for 5 to 10 carat. So already a person who's buying 5 to 10 carat, he has enough money, he's not going to be worried about discount. So the entire pressure has come back in the 1 carat 2 carat, you know, especially in that solitaire category, which is your single stone category. Because if you're buying the studded part, let's say आपका वो necklace है, उसमें 4, you know, ऐसे stud है, you wouldn't be like, अरे मुझे वो 4 stud निकाल के दे दो, it's okay, you wouldn't do that. But if you're buying a single stone diamond का jewelry, that is where the impact is over here. ठीक है? So those companies, especially in this Titan, Kalyan, Senco, and you know, P and Gadgil jewelers, that company which has been selling this solitaire category, solitaire का वो जो diamond होता है, especially in that 1 carat 2 carat का below का range, those people have been impacted with the studded उनका जो portion जो है वो कम हो रहा है. ठीक है? And अगर आपका studded portion कम होते हैं, क्या होता है आपका, because आपका making charges कम होता है, वहाँ पे आपका margins में effect होता है. So I hope you understand over here. It is not that lab grown diamond के इंट्रोडक्शन की वजह से everybody in the retail jewelry space is getting affected. This is a very wrong conclusion. Only those companies that are selling, let's say 1 carat and below 1 carat, or maximum 2 carat, especially in that solitaire range jo hota hai, that is the one that is getting affected. When you talk about Titan, they have hardly coming for anything from the solitaire range. It is mostly coming from their carat lane ka division that is there, because carat lane is known to sell that solitaire ka thing. कल्याण में अगर आप देखते हो, कल्याण के सॉलिटेयर का जो डिवीजन है, राइट, इट इज हार्डली 1% ऑफ द टोटल सेल्स. ओके, इफ यू लुक एट सेंको, सेंको हैज द हाईएस्ट ओवर हियर कमिंग, इसलिए आप देख सकते हो उनका मार्जिन इतना इफेक्ट हुआ है. इवन पी एंड गाडगिल ज्वेलर्स, दे डोंट सेल मच ऑफ द सॉलिटेयर ज्वेलरी. इफ दे आर सेलिंग स्टडड, दे सेल मोर और लेस वही कि लाइक आपका रिंग में, लेट्स से आपका रिंग में 4-5 वो स्टोन्स होगा, मोस्टली दैट 0.1 कैरेट 0.11 सेंट जो हम बोलते हैं, दैट इज द थिंग. ठीक है, सो आई होप यू अंडरस्टैंड नाउ कि लाइक यहाँ पे स्टडड पोर्शन, which is the most lucrative part for the entire jewelry industry, that has been impacted. And again, it has been impacted only for those companies that are selling this 1 to 2 carat of your solitaire diamond jewelry. Okay, now let us first talk about Titan company. ठीक है, अगर आप देखते हो, Titan is the big daddy of this space, right? It is a giant over here, and Titan over here for the first time, in Q3 the result has been fantastic, because you really need to appreciate कि like आपका इतना बड़ा base है, right? Such a big base. I mean, you totally have, if you look at the entire what is that, stores that is there in jewelry alone, Tanishq unka jo hai, they have around 750 stores. Carrot Lane ka unka around 306 stores are there, so approximately 1000, more than 1000 stores. And in spite of that big base, you're able to grow your jewelry category by 25.5%, like the entire growth has been there. PAT has been flat, as we know, because of the inventory losses, right? And the studded ratio yahan pe jo hai, it has been declined. Now, why has the studded ratio been declined over here? Last time it was 24%. This time the studded ratio is 23%. Why over here studded ratio is declined is because, not because one is that ये solitaire के impact हो रहे and everything, because like I told you, Titan में उतना कुछ नहीं आ रहा है from the solitaire. It has been impacted over here because of the rise in gold prices. Now think about it, जब ये let's say आप गोल्ड खरीदने जा रही हो, ठीक है, यू आर बाइंग दिस ह्यूज एज नेकलेस, ओके, एंड ओवर देयर यू हैव टू पे द प्राइस ऑफ द गोल्ड फर्स्ट. आफ्टर दैट उसका डायमंड, लेट्स से इफ दैट चेन हैज डायमंड्स इन इट, डायमंड का प्राइस अलग होता है, मेकिंग चार्जेस का प्राइस अलग होता है, एवरीथिंग. नाउ लेट्स से ऑलरेडी व्हेन द गोल्ड का प्राइसेस आर राइजिंग, आपको ओवरऑल कॉस्ट जो है वो नेकलेस बनाने का, दैट आल्सो राइजेस ना. सो एज अ रिजल्ट क्या होता है, समबडी हु इज प्रेफरिंग अ स्टडड ज्वेलरी, ही वुड प्रोबेबली बाय अ प्लेन गोल्ड ज्वेलरी, बिकॉज व्हाई, ऑलरेडी हिज बजट माइट बी 2 lakhs, नाउ द प्राइस ऑफ द गोल्ड इज व्हाट 2.5 lakhs, राइट? एज अ रिजल्ट, बिकॉज ऑफ दिस the studded part has become less over here, ठीक है. And उनका कहना है कि like आगे जाके, I mean see, probably it would be better, but it isn't like a huge impact over here at the end of the day, ठीक है. So overall great set of numbers from Titan, great. I mean, especially why am I telling great is because I don't think people can understand what a huge base Titan has. So on this huge base, if you're able to grow 25%, especially we are living in a time where there is competition from both, organized में भी है, unorganized में भी competition है, ठीक है. Unorganized spaces also nowadays they're putting up a lot of these advertisements and everything, so वहाँ पर भी है. So that is, I would say, that is that one part that makes me want to feel like really commendable, ठीक है. The second person over here is, we have Kalyan Jewellers. Kalyan over here, if you see, it is a leader in the entire jewelry category, ठीक है. If you look at the sales for Kalyan का sales grew by 40%, and the PAT that is there, it grew by 21%. Now obviously यहाँ पे Kalyan also had an impact of the inventory losses, due to which उनका PAT जो है didn't grow faster than that their sales. The other reason for PAT on a consolidated level to be impacted is, as you know, Kalyan has two operations, one in India and one in the Middle East. In the Middle East, especially now in the UAE, now they have introduced corporate tax. Earlier there used to be no corporate tax. Now I believe the corporate tax is around 9%, so that also has impacted the P&L statement a little bit, ठीक है. Now let's talk about Kalyan ka thing. First of all, let us talk about their SSG. SSG has been so strong. SSG was at 23%. Remember I told you कि weddings है, इसके वजह से people are not postponing the purchasing of jewelry. It clearly shows यहाँ पे SSG is 23%. That is the thing. Then studded ratio अगर आप देखते हो, studded ratio that is there, studded ratio is at 29.5% versus 27.7% last Q3. Again, why इनका studded ratio didn't get impacted? Because very simple, the solitaire part जो डायमंड का सॉलिटेयर पार्ट जो होता है, that contribution to the sale is only 1%. That is why इनका यहाँ पे जो studded sale is there, it didn't get impacted at all. Can you see? Let's now compare Titan and Kalyan. Titan का sale grew 25.5, Kalyan का sale grew 40. Titan का PAT was flat, Kalyan का, you know, when you look at the PAT at least grew by 20%. When you talk about the SSG for Titan was 16, SSG for Kalyan is how much? 20 कितना है? 23%. स्टैंडर्ड रेशियो वहाँ पे कितना था? टाइटन का स्टैंडर्ड रेशियो था 24. यहाँ पे स्टैंडर्ड रेशियो कितना है कल्याण का? 29.5. So can you believe among all the parameters over here, who is winning the race? Kalyan is winning the race clearly with respect to Titan over here. ठीक है. Now other than that, if you look at it, उनका जो one more impressive thing about Kalyan I'll tell you is the store expansion that they're doing, because as of this year, if you look at FY25 this year, the plan was to open 80 Kalyan ka showroom and 50 Candor ka showroom, which they are doing anyways. With store expansion mein to kuch problem nahi hai. For FY26, that is the upcoming year, right? So this year they opened 130 stores, that is the target. For next year they're telling we will open 170 stores. Can you believe over here? One is Kalyan ka bhi base badhta hi ja raha hai as we talk, right? But having said that, can you see जो store expansion जो है, even that is increasing, because FY25 में आपने कितना target दिया था खोलने के लिए? 130. How much are you giving target right now for FY26? 170. And the other best part in this 170 showrooms that they are opening, right? 90 is going to be Kalyan and 80 is going to be Candor. And for the first 6 months, that is H1 of FY26, they've already got the LOI, that is a letter of intent, you know, for all of these first 6 months के लिए जो भी showroom खोलना है from the franchise. If it is your own store, it is all set, it is all, only execution is left over here. ठीक है? It just goes to show you कि like, you know, यहाँ पे, you know, store expansion कितना तेजी से हो रहा है. ठीक है? If let's say store expansion was coming down, that would have been a bit of a trigger, right? But now that is completely उल्टा. ये तो और भी बड़ा base में भी increasing the store. ठीक है? 130 store this year and 170 to 160 stores in the upcoming year that we have. ठीक है? It just goes to show you कि like, you know, यहाँ पे, you know, how bullish they are in terms of the demand and in terms of acceptance of you know, Kalyan ka brand. Okay. Now I would say the huge part over here in terms of Kalyan, like I think a noise I would say in terms of Kalyan is a recent issues that has happened. One is in terms of, you know, the franchise issue. You know, there was this thing कि like franchise ने उनके ऊपर केस डाला था, but it was actually उल्टा. कल्याण ने franchise के ऊपर केस डाला था. But think about it over here. If the franchise का fiasco was, you know, so terrible, then do you really think this man would have gone bonkers and would have put 170 ka showrooms instead of 130 showrooms this year? We should have seen it should have been lesser than 130 for FY26, but it is ulta. 170 showrooms is putting up. He's increasing the base, right? Like, I mean, that goes to show you कि like जो franchise का issue हुआ है, it is not an issue at all. वरना यहाँ पे store में, you know, opening of stores में कुछ ना कुछ impact होता, or the number of stores that were supposed to be opened this year at least would have been delayed. It is not there, right? Absolutely no. ठीक है? The second thing is, you know, is about like I told you, lab grown diamond में भी इनका कुछ issue नहीं है. In fact, these people are the least impacted in terms of lab grown diamond, because we saw Titan में वहाँ पे थोड़ा सा effect हुआ because of gold prices, but इनका यहाँ पे irrespective of gold prices में effect नहीं हुआ, lab grown diamond के वजह से भी effect नहीं हुआ. The last issue with Kalyan Jewellers over here is, I would say, I think there was this rumor that, you know, they've really paid I think some brokerage firm, and they pumped their stock or something like that. You know, there was this rumor, and I think it was Motilal Oswal, right? They came with a press release telling that, you know, we are not involved in any of these things, right? They try to clarify it over here. Now, just giving my 2 cents over here, we can argue for both the pro and con. Okay, think about it, right? First of all, if Motilal Oswal had to do it, why would they like put their reputation at stake? Now, I understand if they're doing it, you know, probably they would pump that stock. You know, let's say okay, 1 quarter 2 quarter आपने pump किया, but भाई कल्याण तो 4 साल से is beating everybody in the jewelry space. ठीक है? So how much will you pump at the end of the day, right? Like, it makes no sense. The other thing is, like, whom do you trust? Like, see, आपने fraud किया, let us assume कि like you did fraud, but how long will you keep doing fraud? 1 year, 2 year? How can you do fraud for like 4 years, especially in today's market? I understand back then in 90s, you know, we didn't have that regulation, you know, there was no transparency and everything, but in today's world where, you know, everybody knows everything, आपका like एक चीज इधर उधर होता है, it comes in the media and it is, you know, सत्यानाश होता है सब कुछ. I think it's very difficult to do fraud right now, right? Like because the transparency we are seeing, whether it is from the regulator, whether it is from the other end, it is at an all-time high, like than what at least it used to be 20 years ago. So I mean, who do you trust at the end of the day? जो 4 साल से like अपना इतना numbers ला रहा है and everything, or whether it is some random report that is there, who is doing this. So again, I think it is to each their own. I don't know like how to, I mean, I think it's a very subjective situation. Somebody can look at this issue, can look at all these rumors and tell ki like, arey, I would rather find opportunity elsewhere, where there are no all of these corporate governance issue, 100 rumors are there. You're also right in your own way, in a way ki like, because see, there are plenty of fishes in the sea. Might as well be with a fish where there is no problem, or there is no even probability of a problem. On the other hand, I would say a person who's also holding it is also right, because like how can a company do fraud for 4 years? Like it's impossible. I mean, I don't think it's possible, especially in today's world, because kahin na to kahin you would have done a mistake, right? Like in terms of numbers, you can't fudge the balance sheet. And right now we have the GST. If you're really telling, you have not done the sale or anything, you wouldn't have been able to pay that GST that you are doing. And now everything is wired, right? Like a consumer is buying a gold, his details are going to the central authority, your details are going, everything is going. And on top of that, with the store expansion that they're doing, somewhere or the other you must have been caught. It's impossible. So I would rather believe the management that has been running the show for 4 years, rather than somebody like jiska report aata hai, like and all this rumors that are there, right? Like very, and even the management over here, I mean, you can see, right, बार बार आके बोल रहा है वही कि like भाई, like मैंने तो कुछ नहीं किया. So that is the thing. I mean, it's a very subjective situation, to each their own. How do you see it? I would give you both the pros and cons over here, and it's up to you all to interfere, like how do you want to impair the whole situation. Okay. Then the third company we'll be doing is Senco Gold over here. Okay. I would probably say this is the least interesting out of the entire B2C category. Even the small players such as DP Abhushan has done like multifold well in terms of Senco Gold. First of all, Senco ka, if you look at it, one is unka jo sales jo hai, right, it grew by 27%. Now a lot of people had a doubt ki like how did the sales grow by 27% when in Q3 ka update they told that the sales grew by 22%. Okay. Now for Senco also there are two divisions. One is the retail division, that is like the sales that happen through the Senco stores. Then they have the franchise, they have this what is the name, Senka, Sensei something, they have two subsidiaries that are there. Okay, one in the Middle East and one here. I forgot the name actually, I'm not able to remember it right now. So when you consider the subsidiary ka sale and everything, the consolidated sale is 27, but if you look at the retail part of it, that sale is hardly 20, 22 to 23%. Okay, now the PAT that you see, I think everybody has been disappointed, not just with the growth numbers of it, because over here Titan ne dekho kiya 25.5, whose base is like like so much bigger than yours, and you are doing like 20, aapka jo retail sale hai, because jewelry, Titan ka jewelry ka retail sales grew 25.5 and your retail sales grew 22. Okay, without the subsidiary, if I consider, it is still a 22% ka sales. So that has been one disappointing, that you're not able to beat the giant, especially when your base is so small, because the entire logic of buying a company which is smaller in size is because it can go faster than the giant that is there, and eventually because of the growth rate, the fast growth rate it has, because of its size, it can match up to the valuation of the bigger giant. That is the whole logic, right, whenever you're buying a small cap. Now over here, if you see, Senco failed in terms of the first thing when it comes to the sales growth. The second thing over here, you see the PAT is down by a whooping 60%. And if you look at the EBITDA margin over here, EBITDA margin is at 3.8, which was 12% last year, right? Standard ratio is the same. Standard ratio is at 10.5. It has not improved. It was 10.5 even the last Q3. And in fact, if you look at it in the previous quarter, between last Q3 and this Q3, the standard ratio was also 12% at one point. So in Q3, which is your best quarter, how did your standard ratio like fall like at 10.5, right? Like how is it possible? Now it all comes down to one thing. One is they had their inventory losses, because of which the margins were impacted. But the second main reason why the margins were so impacted goes back to my point that I was talking about, the first thing, the lab grown diamond. Lab grown diamond के वजह से किसको impact हुआ? जो 1 carat और 2 carat जो है, who's selling that 1 carat and 2 carat का, solitaire diamonds, right? Those people were the most impacted. And guess who sells most of it among all the 5 players in the B2C category in the listed space? Senco Gold. Because इनका जो 90% of the diamonds that are there, right? 90% of the diamond jewelry is, below 0.11 cent, right? So 1 carat is 100 cent. So this is like, you can imagine 0.00011 cent ये होता है, ठीक है? Sorry, 11 carat होता है. So since 90% of their diamond jewelry is coming, from that 0.1 cent that is there, as a result 0.1 to 0.5 cent, इनका impact यहाँ पे has been horrible, like literally horrible. I mean, can you imagine EBITDA margin जो 12% का था last Q3 में, अभी आपके EBITDA margin है 3.8%. Store expansion is great. They are doing the same store expansion which they are doing, 18 to 20 stores, continues to do the same overall. But this entire margin का जो impact हुआ है, it has been horrendous to say the least. Okay, and will it improve? We do not know, because management का बोलना है कि like, on an annualized basis we'll probably reach the old studded profile जो margins था, we will reach over there, and an annualized basis अगर आप EBITDA margins के बारे में बात करते हो, we will reach that 7 to 8% का EBITDA margin. But still, can you believe it? Like, it's been the horrible show probably, because of this. I mean, this is that one category that has been the most impacted because of this entry of lab grown diamond. Okay, then the last company that we will do is PN Gadgil Jewellers. Okay, so PN Gadgil Jewellers, if you look at it, sales is up by 23.5%, PAT is up 49. Now I think everybody has been really shook with the result कि like भाई इसका like 23.5 कैसा हुआ, because again PN Gadgil का अगर आप देखते हो, उनका 3 कैटेगरी है, रिटेल, ई कॉमर्स एंड फ्रेंचाइज. रिटेल का मतलब जो खुद का स्टोर में होता है जो सेल्स, राइट? फ्रेंचाइज का मतलब जो फ्रेंचाइजी का स्टोर में जो सेल्स होता है, एंड ई कॉमर्स इज विच यू सेल थ्रू दिस Amazon, Flipkart and all of it, as well as खुद का जो PN Gadgil Jewellers का जो वेबसाइट है, through that. Okay, now if you look at it, right, if you look at the retail segment contributes 77% and that grew 42%. Okay, अगर आप उनका franchisee segment देखते हो, e-commerce also if you look at it, it grew by 87 and 100%. So now the thing is कि like भाई, like everything grew 42, 87, 100, like all the 3 categories कि like, so how is it possible, your sales that is there grew only by 23.8%. Okay, now here comes another झटका, right? Because when you look at Gadgil, उनका 2 portions of sale है, one is retail and non-retail. Retail side में क्या है, खुद का store, franchise and e-commerce. Non-retail में side में क्या है, mostly this, as you know, right, people will come to exchange your jewelry, right, and they will take cash in return. इसको हम बोलते हैं refinery sale, right? All of this या bullion का आप sale जो करते हो, ठीक है? Now this sale is not there in this quarter. In fact, उन्होंने last quarter में भी बोला था that this non-retail part of the book that is there, we want to reduce it. So now since this part of the book has not been there, since they haven't done any sale over here, they completely want to get rid of it. As a result, because of which you see the entire consolidated, is coming up to only 23.5. ठीक है, अगर आप इसका SSG देखते हो, SSG is at 26%, which is really good, because Titan का was 16%, Kalyan का was 24, and Gadgil का SSG कितना है, 23.6. Studded ratio, टाइटन का कितना था स्टैंडर्ड रेशियो, 23. कल्याण का कितना था स्टैंडर्ड रेशियो, 27.8, या कल्याण का कितना था भाई, या स्टैंडर्ड रेशियो वाज 29.5, ठीक है, कल्याण का. एंड PN Gadgil का स्टैंडर्ड रेशियो इज अराउंड 7.4, ठीक है. सो यू कैन इमेजिन ओवर हियर अगेन हु इज विनिंग द रेस, सेल्स, आप ऑपरेटिंग लेवरेज ले लो, SSG ले लो, स्टैंडर्ड रेशियो ले लो, हु इज विनिंग द रेस अगेन, द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट ओवर हियर, कल्याण इज विनिंग द रेस. एंड इनका अगर आप if you look at it, the store expansion is also great. They wanted to open 53 stores this year. They have opened 48 as of Q3, as of 9 months, and they will open the rest in the upcoming quarter, that is in Q4. So overall great update that is there, ठीक है. The only thing over here is कि like वही होता है कि like जब Titan जो है it is growing at 25.5 and आपने 23.5 में grow किया, it becomes a little bit of a concern. Although I understand कि like इनका जो retail का जो book है, right, that has grown twice the rate of Titan almost, right, because 42%. Okay, so that is there. But the other problem I'll tell you for PN Gadgil Jewellers that will come, although if you look at the 9 months का thing, right, they are on track, because this year का guidance क्या था, 8,000 करोड़ करना, which I think they will be able to easily pull off, और 2,000 करोड़ करना है in Q4, which they will be able to do, ठीक है. But if you look at it for FY26 में उनका क्या प्लान है, they will go from 8,000 करोड़ to 10,000 करोड़. Okay, so that again is like another 25% के CAGR. वहाँ पे तो कल्याण का स्टोर एक्सपेंशन ही, मतलब क्या बोलूं, मतलब आई थिंक Kalyan as of Q3 has, I mean if you look at the entire consolidated store, because I think Kalyan ka 253 to 257 Kalyan ka showroom se, I think around 50 to 60 Candere ka showroom hai, and then around I think 20 8 या 30 showrooms in Middle East. I could be wrong over here, but totally आप समझो कि like around 350 का stores है. Probably they'll end the year with 400 total stores, and they're adding 170 stores. That is literally like 560-ish kind of stores, right? उनका CAGR देखो, एक साल का CAGR, स्टोर एक्सपेंशन का CAGR, it comes up more than 50% almost. And यहाँ पे अगर आप देखते हो इनका स्टोर एक्सपेंशन CAGR क्या है, hardly anything, right? Because they're planning to add around 12 to 25 stores probably in the next year. Forget about store expansion का CAGR. यहाँ पे गदगिल का देखो ना 8,000 से 10,000 करोड़ हो रहा है, which is 25%. And even here also, Gadgil has not ventured outside of Maharashtra. Na slowly they will enter. So we also do not know how that entire acceptance is going to be there. Whereas Kalyan, if you look at it, they've already ventured from the south of India to north of India, and the fact that their SSG is very strong now, the non-south part of India is contributing more to the revenue than the south part of India. And even the existing showrooms that they're opening, majority is going to be probably in the north of India, right? So as a result, we know Kalyan ka brand acceptance is already there. Now it is coming down to one thing: scaling. The only reason PN Gadgil Jewellers had an edge was because, see, Kalyan had reached, because of its growth rate, it had reached the Titan ka valuation over there, right? It was almost on that verge if it weren't for this fiasco that happened in the last 2 months. And the hope was PN Gadgil is growing faster than Kalyan, which it did in Q2, right? And it would match up. If it continues to do so, it would match up to Kalyan ka valuation, right? And from PN Gadgil, an investor could get both PE re-rating as well as EPS expansion. But considering the current plans that they have, if they're planning to do 8,000 to probably just 10,000 kind of revenue run rate, then it would be very hard to match up, because then even Kalyan would continue to grow faster than you. Okay? Only thing I would say, I have a little bit of hope over here, because earlier they told they would open 12 stores in FY26. Now they're changing and they're telling they will open 25 stores in FY26. So that is a little bit hope, because store expansion thoda bad gaya hai. So probably, who knows, if they're able to do more than 10,000 crore, shayad 12,000 crore kare, 13,000 crore kare, then it would be a great deal. Okay, so that is the thing. So now if I have to like segregate all the four, whether it is Titan, Kalyan, Senco and Gadgil, out of the four, if you have to look at it, Kalyan wins the race. That is number one category. Second, I would put Titan. Third, I would put PN Gadgil. And fourth, I would put Senco. Okay? So I would say this in the order of category would be so. Overall, great set of numbers, excellent numbers from each and everybody. It's not that PN Gadgil has done bad or anything, but the expectations were so high for the business, right? Like itna high expectations tha, especially post the Q2 result, that now that expectations ko like kisi ne thod diya, like aapka somebody has broken your heart. It's like that with PN Gadgil, right? So that's that with all the four companies. The demand continues to be very strong. We will analyze the other part, which is DP Abushin, Asha Puri, everything in the second part.